Okay, so the goal of this example is to show or deepen your understanding of method overloading by creating an example that doesn't work out right. So my expectation is by the time we're done with the example, we'll see it doesn't work out right, and we'll talk a little bit about why it doesn't work, and hopefully once you understand that, you'll have a pretty good understanding of method overloading. So let's say I create a method called crazy. Public static int crazy. And it takes two integers, x and y. And I'd actually like to say that what it's taking is two positive integers, x and y. And it returns the sum of those two integers, x plus y. And again, I'm just kind of cramming things all together here because I want to have space to show you all the code. Ordinarily, I'd have that int result in place, but to keep things short and sweet, I'm cramming things together. Now, the way I would use this is I might have something like this, system out print line. Oh, you know what? Let's not add them together. Let's multiply them instead. All right, so system out print line, crazy, 5, 3. So my first question to you would be, hey, what happens if we execute that system out print line? What are we going to see for output? So take a second to think about it. If we're passing in 5 and 3. Hit pause if you need to think about it. All right, hopefully you thought about it. And so what we should see when we do the system out print line is we should see 15 get printed out because the 5 will get copied into the x and the 3 will get copied into the y, and then we're going to multiply x and y together. Awesome. I'd also like now to write another method called crazy that's going to handle the situation when we have negative integers. So same method signature here. And now if x, well actually this one I think I'm going to use, I think the way I'll do this is, what I'll do is I'll ask you to write it. So the goal here is to write a method, crazy, and what this method's going to do is if x or y is negative, we're going to multiply x and y together, but we want to make sure that the result that we return is positive, okay? So I'll just repeat that. So if I were to do a system out print line, crazy, minus 5, 3, then this crazy method is going to get executed. And it's going to multiply x and y together. And what I'd like it to do is I'd like it to return a positive number. So if x is minus 5 and y is 3, I want it to return 15. If y is minus 3 and x is 5, I still want it to return 15. And if x and y are both negative, I still want it to return positive 15. So basically, no matter what I do, when I multiply my x and y together, if either x or y is negative or both, I'm still going to return a positive value. All right, are you clear on that? That's what we want the second crazy to do. So I want you to take a moment to write the code for that. And we'll play some lovely background music while you're working on that. If you feel like you need to get up and dance around a little bit while you're thinking about this, knock yourself out. This is pretty catchy. Okay. If you're not done yet, hit the pause button and work it out. And then when you unhit the pause button, I'll show you my solution. This stuff works much better if you try to do it on your own first, because if you just see me spill the results, your brain isn't thinking as hard. Okay, so here's my solution. I'm going to say if x is less than 0 or y is less than 0, then I want to return math.abs of x times y. That's cool. Maybe I'll just put that whole thing in parentheses. All right. Else, I'm going to return x times y. And then I'm going to close that public static int crazy. Now, my logic for this is as follows. If x is less than 0 or y is less than 0, what I'm basically saying is, hey, if x or y are negative, then I'm going to execute the code in the first if block. I'm going to return the absolute value of x times y. So this will handle the case when x is negative or y is negative or they're both negative. Actually, if they're both negative, it's kind of a no-op. Nothing really happens because the absolute value is going to be of a positive number. And then I have that else in place just in case x and y aren't both 0, or aren't x and y are one of, I'm sorry, I have that else in place if x is positive and y is positive. So it's a little confusing because I just wanted to make sure I handled that case if they're both positive. But if they're both positive, what I'd like to have happen is I'd actually like this crazy method to get executed. Now, you might be asking yourself, hey, when I call the system out print line, this system out print line crazy, this one right here, how does Java know that it's supposed to execute that first crazy method, right? How does Java know that it's supposed to go to this crazy method as opposed to this crazy method? And I told you when we first started exploring the idea of method overloading that the secret to understanding this is that what Java does is it looks at the arguments that are passed into the method and then matches those arguments with a method signature. And when it has a match, that's the method that gets executed. But in this case, we have a problem because this crazy method here and this crazy method up here both have the same method signature. They both are taking two integers, x and y. And so Java actually in this situation will do this. Syntax error. Java's going to say, look, you've defined a crazy method with two integers. You've defined a second crazy method with two integers. I am never going to know which crazy method you want me to execute. So you're going to have to pick one and delete the code for the other one or change the name of the method for one or the other. So in our case, probably what makes a lot of sense is to get rid of this code up here and leave this code here. And this code here will handle both the situation where we have a positive x and a positive y and the situation where we have a negative x and a negative y. And in fact, what we can do with this code is simplify it a great deal by getting rid of the check to see if x is negative and or y is negative, and we can get rid of this else, and we can simply return the absolute value of the product of x and y. And then we have a nice clean piece of code. So just to repeat, the way method overloading works is that Java looks at the method signature. So it looks at the parameters and the types of the parameters. And when you invoke a method like crazy, it's going to look at the type of the arguments being passed in and the number of arguments being passed in and match that to a particular method called crazy. And you can't have two methods called crazy with the same types and the same number of arguments, because that's just crazy, and Java is not going to know what to do with that. So you're going to have to choose a particular method with a method signature and leave it at that. All right.